Welcome back to another semester of the Pioneer Sideline. Now that we are back in class, it's time for us to get back to covering Pioneer sports. On this first episode, back from break, we'll be catching up on the Point Park basketball teams. Also, we'll be giving a look at the local and national level. Then we'll take a look at the NFL playoff picture. And then we'll finish up with an episode of our Reporter Roundtable. So are you ready to head on down to the Pioneer Sideline? Welcome back to the Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host, Kyle Anthony. When we left for break, the Point Park men's basketball team was trying to find their way. So, to find out if they were able to find their way, I'm joined by Josh Krupp, who'll be our compass on this journey.
Up and down, then up and right back down. That's exactly how this men's basketball season has gone, and that's exactly how last week's game against Ohio Christian went. But before we recap last week's game, let's catch you up to speed on what you may have missed over break. Point Park ended the first semester with an 8-5 record and an even 2-2 conference record. The Pioneers ended the first half without a road conference victory. Fast forward to the start of the second half, Point Park began January with a tough conference road game against receiving Voto Rio Grande. Senior guard Kelvin Goodwin's 31 points and Point Park's 114 points were not enough as the Red Storm topped the Pioneers 117-114. There was a chance for redemption against Penn State Fayette later that week. Now, Point Park dominated Fayette in November with a 125-62 victory. Point Park managed to escape the second contest with just a 90-84 victory after shooting only 53% from the free throw line. That weekend, Point Park lost its second straight conference road game at Cincinnati Christian, 99-91. That was then followed up with a 78-74 conference road loss at Indiana University East. Entering last Thursday, the Pioneers had a chance to get back in the win column as they returned home for the first game since early December at home when they hosted Ohio Christian. The game, much like Point Park's season, was up and down. 7 minutes in, the game was tied at 16. 10 minutes later, the Pioneers trailed by 12. The Pioneers then went on a little run and only trailed by 4 at the half. But then the Pioneers slipped right back, down in the first 5 minutes of the second half. Suddenly they were down by 12. 7 minutes later, the Pioneers only trailed by 3, up and down, up and down. Now the rest of the game remained close as Point Park trailed as little as only 2 points in the final minute. But Ohio Christian did hang on to win 86-82. Point Park is now just 1-4 to start the new year. Now each of these 4 losses came in conference play, all games in which Kelvin Goodwin and fellow senior guard Jeremy Williams combined for at least 49 points between the two. Point Park travels to crosstown rival Carlo tonight to take on a Celtics team that has lost 14 straight games.
Now, Josh, why has this team been so up and down this season?
You got to look, I think, at the seniors. You have Yandel Dennis and TJ Lanier who have not really done much this second half. Towards the end of the first half, Lanier had a really good hot streak that he had, but this second half, he's been kind of absent. The Kanate brothers both have foul trouble every game. It's almost like they both foul out or come close to fouling out before we even go to the locker room at halftime. The only 2 consistent players are Kelvin Goodwin and Jeremy Williams, and they take a majority of the shots. They are shooting between like 50 and 60% a game, which is fine, but you got to have more people on the bench contributing, and Saeed Allen tries to do that off the bench. He scored 10 against Ohio Christian coming off the bench, but when you have 2 or 3 guys and that's it producing, that's where I think you have a lot of your problems.
Now, how much longer can these 2 keep producing? Because, I mean, you said it right. They're not getting anything from anyone else.
They can't keep this up forever, Kyle, especially when you get towards conference tournament time. I mean, what happens if even one of them has a bad night? We've seen nights where Kelvin Goodwin just can't find the net. But then when he's on, and it's great. It's fun to watch. When the 2 of them are on together, they can do amazing things. But if one or even both of them has a bad night, they're going to be in trouble. They can't keep this up for much longer. I think tonight at Carlo is a great chance for the team to get back on track against the Celtics team that, like I said, has lost now 14 straight.
Thanks, Josh. The Point Park women's basketball team started off the season picking up some big wins. So to find out if they were able to keep coming, I'm joined by Blaine King, who has everything we need to know.
Thanks, Kyle. It has been over a month since we last checked on the Point Park women's basketball team. So let's check what happened. Over that month span, they have posted a record of 6-4, with 4 of those wins coming against KIAC rivals. Some of the biggest victory the women's team saw were against Rio Grande, Penn State Fayette, and Ohio Christian, who they recently beat by a score of 44-40. In this defensive slugfest, the Pioneers' biggest contributors were Leah Hurst and Carly Force. Hurst was leading scorer for 10 points and 8 rebounds, while Force added 9 points and 8 rebounds of her own. Point Park currently stands 1 game behind Rio Grande and IU East in the KIAC Colonial Division. The Pioneers have 10 games remaining on their schedule, with 9 of those games coming against KIAC rivals.
Now, Blaine, let's start off. This team, they've been a lot like the men's team. They've been very up and down. Why have they not been able to pick up big wins when they needed to?
Well, it comes with experience, and that's one thing we said that this Pioneers team will struggle with this year coming into the season, because they lost a lot of depth from last year. And with them playing inconsistent, they're still trying to find their niche. Eventually, I think they'll catch fire, because usually a Coach Grenick team generally catches fire, and usually that's at the beginning of the season. But now, since we're getting closer towards the end of the season, it's going to be interesting to see if they actually can catch fire at the right time heading into the KIAC tournament.
Now, do you think this team is overachieving, or are they right where they're supposed to be?
Honestly, I think they're overachieving. Granted, it comes with a weak KIAC conference this year, and they're definitely benefiting from that. I say they're overachieving because they're 1 game out. They beat Rio Grande not too long ago, and they still have 1 more game with Rio Grande, and they still have IU East coming up, who they trail currently in the Colonial Division. You say if they can pull those victories out and get some help, maybe Point Park will be hosting a KIAC tournament basketball-wise on the women's side this year.
Thanks, Blaine. When we return, Trevor Sheets will join us to tell us about the Steelers' postseason run, among other local headlines in regional sports.
We are a social people. We share our inspiration, wisdom, creations, and memories. We share what makes us laugh and what angers us. Built on the notion of a free flow of ideas, our country thrives on the freedom of speech. Without it, who would watch over our governing powers? And how would we share our history to make a difference for the future? It's this freedom to share that gives us a reason to listen.
Start your morning with City News.
Start your morning with campus news.
Start your morning with political coverage.
Start your morning with fun.
Start your morning with us, only on Daybreak.
Did you know that Point Park has a cheerleading squad?
Don't stop.
Don't get it confused.
Not only do our cheerleaders represent Point Park at regional and national competitions, but they also promote spirit and awareness of every sports team on campus. Come to any men's or women's varsity basketball game at home to watch the cheerleaders perform at halftime and cheer from the sidelines from the first jump ball to the final buzzer. Sports not your thing? You can catch the cheer team lead the crowd at the fall and spring pep rallies as well, or at several competitions around Pittsburgh each year. So what are you waiting for? Show the Point Park cheerleaders the support they show you.
We know you're wondering what the A-list celebrities are up to.
Well, here at Entertainment on Point, we're wondering too.
Have you heard about James Franco and Seth Rogen's new movie?
No, but have you heard Beyonce's new single?
Did you see what she was wearing on that red carpet?
Honey, that was not cute.
Did you see what happened on Scandal this week?
No, I was too busy keeping up with the Kardashians. No matter what your guilty pleasure is, we've got you covered.
Entertainment on Point.
Get to the point of pop culture.
Yeah!
Welcome back to the Pioneer Sideline. I'm Trevor Sheets with this week's Regional Sports Report. The Pittsburgh Steelers went into last Sunday's game against the Denver Broncos, a bruised and battered team. but that did not stop them from giving the Broncos all they could handle in their AFC divisional round matchup. For the first time in NFL history, we saw a team play without their top receiver and rusher from the regular season. The two players, of course, being Antonio Brown and D'Angelo Williams, who were both still recovering from injuries received in the last 2 weeks. Quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, who was dealing with a shoulder injury from the Bengals game, was able to make the start for the Steelers. The game was a defensive battle, with the Steelers only allowing 3 Broncos field goals in the first half. The only touchdown in the first half came on a 1-yard run from Fitz Toussaint, who was starting in place of Williams. The defensive struggle continued into the fourth quarter when Toussaint fumbled the ball on what was a promising Steelers drive. Denver received the ball, then went on a 13-play drive that took nearly 7 minutes off of the clock and resulted in the go-ahead touchdown, giving the Broncos the 20-13 lead. The Steelers were only able to add a field goal and ended up being eliminated by a score of 23-16. Now the Black and Gold have to start thinking about the 2016 season, where changes to the defense are expected, especially in the secondary. It has been an inconsistent 2016 for the Pittsburgh Penguins, so far going 3-2-3 in the new year. Sunday was a glance at what the Pens are capable of, beating the Carolina Hurricanes 5-0. Sidney Crosby, who seems to be finding his scoring touch again, recorded 2 goals, and Marc-Andre Fleury recorded his 41st career shutout on 22 shots faced. The following night saw Pittsburgh travel to St. Louis to face the Blues, who are one of the best teams in the Western Conference. The Penguins dominated the first 2 periods, outshooting the Blues 31-17, but could only get 2 goals out of that from Chris Kunitz and Evgeny Malkin. And goalie Jeff Zadkoff allowed 2 goals to have the game tied at 2 going into the third period. That is when the Blues took over the game, scoring 3 more goals while the Pens were shut out in the period, giving St. Louis the win by a score of 5-2. The Pens have a few days off before they host in-state rival Philadelphia on Thursday night at Consol Energy Center. Currently, Pittsburgh is 1 point behind Montreal for the last wildcard playoff spot and are 4 points behind the New York Rangers for the 3rd spot in the Metropolitan Division. Now back to Kyle with this week's national sports headlines.
Thanks, Trevor. Now it's time to talk about something that's going on right now in national sports. Let's start off in the MLB, where some more top free agents have signed some big contracts. Let's start off with the Baltimore Orioles, who have signed first baseman Chris Davis to a 7-year, $161 million contract. Davis has led the AL in home runs 2 of the last 3 years. Now we will go to the defending champs in the Kansas City Royals, who have bolstered their rotation by picking up pitcher Ian Kennedy, who signed a 5-year, $70 million deal. The Miami Marlins have also re-signed one of their All-Stars by giving second baseman Dee Gordon a 5-year, $50 million deal. Next, we'll go to the NHL to talk about the All-Star game, because the leading vote-getter for the game was traded in John Scott. He was traded from the Arizona Coyotes to the Montreal Canadiens. Scott was the leading vote-getter for the Western Conference, with a stat line of 11 games played, 1 point, and 3 trips to the minors. As soon as he was traded, he was sent to the minors to play for the Canadiens minor league team, where he was a healthy scratch. There is some thought that this demotion will end his All-Star bid, but happy to report John Scott's going to be playing an All-Star game. But there has been 3 other players who have played an All-Star game after being traded. Now we're going to go to the college basketball, where the AP poll has come out for this week after 16 of the top 25 teams in the poll last week lost. So in the top 10, we will start off with Oklahoma, who got all the votes to be number 1. Then they are followed by North Carolina, Kansas, Villanova, Xavier, West Virginia, Maryland, SMU, Iowa, and at number 10, Texas A&M. The NFL playoffs are well underway, and championship weekend is looming. When we get back, I'll be joined by Paul Daniels, Blaine King, and Mike Turk for a look at what has been and what will be in the playoffs.
Here at the Pioneer Sideline, we get freshmen involved as quickly as possible so they get the real-world experience on air and behind the scenes to set themselves apart in internships and potential jobs. Blaine, where is that video? I needed it in KeyPro like yesterday.
All right, I got you, Chris. But I got a quick question for you guys.
What do you mean the questions? It's always a question. It's always a... What? Where is he? Blaine! 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 Freshman, you can't find any good ones anymore.
Ever wanted to be behind the mic and have the world listening to your show on campus? Well, it's just as simple as joining WPPJ, Point Park's student-run radio station, located on the second floor of Lawrence Hall, right next to the dining services. Listeners can tune in using Point Park's website or through the TuneIn app by searching WPPJ. WPPJ welcomes any new DJs that want to get involved, so be heard. Do you have what it takes?
An expression, a belief, a symbol, freedom to worship, an unspoken word. To express yourself means standing up for what you believe in. There's a freedom to worship, and a freedom to live. To speak never saying a word, to love, to let your voice be heard. The light of your own path. For more information, visit www.freedomofspeechpsa.org.
Welcome back. I'm joined by a few of our top reporters to talk NFL playoffs. We're going to start off with Paul doing the recap. Paul, what are your thoughts on what's happened so far?
Well, we had a classic finish between Green Bay and Arizona. 2 Hail Marys in 1 year for Aaron Rodgers. Carolina got the job done, even though it was down to the end. It came down to the wire, having a 31-point lead. Denver escaped, got away with it. And then Patriots sealed it in the end and beat them by 7 versus Kansas City.
Now, Mike, you being the Steelers fan here, what did you think of the Steelers-Bengals game?
You know, the Steelers-Bengals game, we're going back 2 weeks now, okay.
Yeah, we're going back old school.
It made me angry, to be honest. And the fact that players take a game like that to Twitter, and then 2 weeks later, they're still taking to Twitter after the Steelers lose to the Broncos, saying, I can finally sleep now. They should be ashamed. Pac-Man Jones, you should be ashamed. That was all over Twitter, and he was on all these sports shows all week just looking like a fool. It's pathetic, and it just fires me up even more.
Blaine, you get the final thoughts. What are your overviews of that bad man Aaron Rodgers and some of the quarterback play we've seen?
He's a bad man, but actually the quarterbacks have been playing pretty good. I'm really impressed. You had some close games. Actually, all the playoff games were close except for the Green Bay Redskins game, but that's all I have to say.
All right, guys. Now we're going to go to the Patriots-Broncos game, which is going to be the first game played on Sunday. What do you guys think are going to be some keys to the game? Who's going to win?
Well, this is a team that played in the regular season not too long ago, and Denver defeated the undefeated at the time, the Patriots, with C.J. Anderson running down the sideline in overtime. It's going to be a good game. Wishful thinking is hopefully the Denver Broncos win, because I'm not big on the Patriots up in the north, and it will come down to who wins the running game. I think will be the key.
Now, what do you think, Blaine? What are your thoughts on the game?
It's going to be a different game than the first game, because the first game Denver had Brock Osweiler starting. Now it's Peyton. Now this is Brady Peyton, part 17. It seems like Peyton may go out on top. If he plays a good game, he has to hit some throws that he missed against the Steelers. If Peyton has a good game, I expect the Broncos to beat the Patriots handily, but I think it's going to be a close game.
All right, Mike, everyone's talking offense here. Give me some defense, man.
Looking at it, first I want to throw a stat at you I saw on SportsCenter the other day. 12 of the last 13 quarterbacks to play in the Super Bowl, including this year, have been either Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, or number 12 himself, Tom Brady. Can you name the other one by chance?
Joe Flacco.
Sports show, that's right. But looking on the defensive side of the ball, obviously Denver has the upper hand on the defensive side of the ball, but it's just going to be hard to beat Tom Brady. I know they're going to Denver. I don't think the Patriots
All right, who you guys picking? Mike, who you got start?
I got Mr. Tom Brady and the New England Patriots.
Paulie D.
Go Denver 27-23.
BK.
I'm going Denver 28, Patriots 27.
Oh.
I'm going to go Patriots 24-20. The Patriots defense is going to score 2 touchdowns because you know what's going to happen. The Patriots underrated defense is going to show up. All right, now let's go to the other game. Carolina Panthers and the Arizona Cardinals. Blaine, you start us off. Talk some offense, man.
We're in for an offensive explosion. I truthfully think this is going to be high scoring. I think this game is going to go into the 30s and potentially, hopefully, overtime. But I think that the MVP is going to pull one out this year, and I see it's going to be Cam and Peyton in the Super Bowl.
Mike, you're up next.
My personal opinion that whoever wins this game will be your Super Bowl 50 champion. This is a shame. These are the two best teams in the NFL playing for the NFC Championship, in my opinion. I love Carson Palmer. I love Cam Newton. I think they're the best quarterbacks in the league, definitely at the top of the MVP voting. But I think Carolina just has the upper hand in this one.
Paul, again, everybody's talking offense. Talk some defense, man.
Well, these two teams have gotten here so far because of their defenses.
Not really.
Well,
Luke
Kuechly and Carolina had top 5 defense all year. Arizona's a top 10 defense.
Yeah.
I see Arizona pulling it out. I got to go with my pre-playoff predictions and stick with Arizona and making it to the Super Bowl.
All right, since I guess Paul gave us his picks, quickly, who do you two have in this game? Because we have one final pick to make, boys.
I
Carolina.
said, yeah,
Sorry to
Carolina.
interrupt
All
you.
right, who's going to win the Super Bowl, boys? Starting off with Paul.
Well, that's a good question. If it comes down to Denver and
First
Arizona
thought.
for me,
First thought, Paul.
I'm going Denver.
Carolina.
Cam gets his first Super Bowl ring.
The Kyle Anthony blessing, since I've only been wrong twice, so this might be the third time. I will be picking the inner Pittsburgh's coming out, the Arizona Cardinals because of Larry Fitzgerald. And Carson Palmer will be MVP. Next up, I will be joined by Alex Martage, Blaine King, and Trevor Sheets for another roundtable of the reporters.
Every human being has a purpose, has a dream to have their voices heard, no matter where they come from, no matter where they go. As an American, it is their right to have freedom of speech. I have a dream that one day this message will speak louder than words, that even the quietest voice will not go unnoticed. That is my dream. What is yours? For more information, visit www.freedomofspeechpsa.org.
Welcome back. I'm joined by Alex Martage, Trevor Sheets, and Blaine King. All right, guys, this is another segment of the Roundtable Reporters. Let's start off with NFL coaching hires, guys. There's a lot of shakeups. Lovie Smith getting the boot for no reason. What do you guys think so far? Who's your top candidate?
Top candidate's tough because there's so many of the guys coming in are unknown commodities. I know the worst hire, that was Chip Kelly going to San Francisco. Biggest mistake the 49ers could have possibly made.
Preach, man.
So in the whole scheme of the hiring process, the one that I can say that truly stands out thus far is the Cleveland Browns hiring of Hugh Jackson. I really like that hire. I think that they're getting someone that is from within the AFC North and has been on the winning side of things with the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that right now stands out as the best hire of this process.
I agree with Alex. I truthfully think that with the Browns hiring Hugh Jackson, that was a great pickup. I know I was hoping my Eagles would go after him, but they didn't. But Hugh Jackson, he has that experience. He was in Oakland for a year. Granted, whatever happens in Oakland really doesn't count.
It's a little bit worrisome. It's
yeah,
a little bit worrisome,
but they were 8-8. That's the thing. And I think he has the experience. He has the pedigree. Browns, they could be on the rise.
No,
soon.
they're not. It's the
Soon,
Browns.
soon.
I was gonna say
not
it's
that,
gonna
not
take
that
a couple
far.
years.
Yeah,
They need a quarterback
soon.
before they can rise anywhere.
All right.
Yeah.
The best hire was obviously the Colts keeping Chuck Pagano. Let me tell you why.
That was shocking.
Chuck Pagano and Andrew Luck have a thing. And once you groom those young quarterbacks and have the trust in them, you'll be successful. Yeah,
My
keep Luck healthy.
quarterback.
The worst hire of all time, I'm sorry, Paul, Ben McAdoo, are you serious? The reason it's the worst hire is because they put all the blame on Tom Coughlin, even though they say they won't. So, Giants, you failed because you didn't hire Hugh Jackson. All right, next. All right, the NBA's in full swing. Best team in the NBA.
Oh. Are we all going to agree?
Is this really that hard
You
of a
all say
question?
Golden State.
Oh, no, I'm not saying Golden State.
You're the smartest guy in the room.
Oh, you're going to say San Antonio.
Absolutely.
The
Smartest
best
guy in the
team,
room.
the best team is the Golden State Warriors. But the team that may ultimately win the championship, I will say, could very well be the San Antonio Spurs.
The one thing I'll say about Golden State, though, is one player goes down and they somehow fall apart. Draymond Green goes down, they start losing. They lose a game or two. Once Seth Curry went down, lost a game or two. It seems like once one piece is gone, that team falls apart.
They got weak ankles on that team. Blaine, please don't say Golden State. Give me something different.
I'm definitely not picking a team in the East.
Well, yeah, that's smart. That's smart.
Does the East have basketball?
I don't even know. No, I have to go with Golden State. This team is ridiculous. Last night, the Cavaliers, they were down 43 with LeBron James at home.
Yeah, we just talk about how bad the East is, though, so that's
the
kind
best
of
team
a
in
moot
the
point.
East, though. That's the best team
San
in the East.
Antonio, Kawhi Leonard, the ageless wonder, and Tim Duncan.
I can't wait till the Western Conference Final, though. That's
Underrated
good.
LaMarcus Aldridge and the Spurs are a lot better because they're a complete team. All right, baseball question. Why are there so many big free agents still out there? Why is it taking so long for these guys to sign?
I think one of the big reasons was a chip that you mentioned in national sports is everyone was waiting to see what Chris Davis was going to do. And once he got his big contract, I think we're going to see a few more pieces.
You mean when he got overpaid?
Well, yeah, but I mean, Baltimore needed to make a move.
Yeah, I was actually kind of taking the words right out of my mouth. It really is just a matter of who's going to make that first big move, and that's going to set the pace for all of free agency. And I think they did that signing Chris Davis.
Really, Giggles? All right, let's go to Blaine. Keep him from laughing.
Yeah, it's all about money, and from the Chris Davis deal, that's definitely one. It's going to be a domino effect. We're eventually going to start to see more. We're going to start to see more players start to get signed. I know B.J. Upton, he was just signed. I forgot who it was. Detroit, that's who it was by. So.
I actually think teams are just unsure. A lot of teams don't want to spend money. Dave Dombrowski, even at the Red Sox, he's been known to spend money early. He hasn't spent money since. People don't want to invest money in guys they know they're going to have to get rid of. That's why they all have opt-out clauses after 3 years. All right, Giggles, we're going to start you off for the next question. We're going to talk about one of your favorite players, Cardell Jones. Lack of good quarterbacks in this draft. What do you think this is going to lead to?
Lack of good quarterbacks, or
Yeah.
a lake of top quarterbacks,
Well,
apparently. Because but as I was doing a little bit of research, frankly, I don't think that this is a very strong quarterback class whatsoever. But I do think that this is going to be one of the strongest wide receiver classes that we have ever seen. Josh Doxson, Mike Thomas from Ohio State, Tyler Boyd as well. I think that there's a lot of talent, and Laquan Treadwell from Ole Miss.
See, I think even though everyone kind of perceives that the quarterbacks aren't as strong as in prior years, I think a few are going to surprise you. A lot of these quarterbacks coming out are from pro-style offenses or can throw the ball. They might not have been on the best team, so they didn't get as much press. Paxton Lynch, for instance, with Memphis, I think could do well under the right circumstances. I think that some of these lower-tier guys that you're not going to hear about necessarily right away could end up making a difference.
Wentz. All right, BK.
I agree with Trevor. I think they're not high profile like we want to see, where they're not Cam Newton, they're not Andrew Luck, they're not those types of quarterbacks, but they're kind of those third round, fourth round, second round maybe, like Russell Wilson. That's the type of quarterbacks I think we're going to have. And one team is going to cash out really well.
I'll say one other thing is the best quarterback in college football is still in college football, Deshaun Watson.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually, you two for once, I can actually say I'm shocked in the worst way. This quarterback draft is awful. This whole draft in general is going to be terrible. Let me tell you why. All these guys are coming out early, and none of these guys are actually pro-ready. I don't think I can name you 10 pro-ready players, even from the 8-deep Ohio State team who's sending everybody to the draft. Listen, Wide receiver class, raw talent. Defensive line, extremely raw talent. Offensive line, come on now. But, all right, guys, that'll do it this week. So join us next week for the best coverage of Pioneer sports at the same Pioneer time, same Pioneer channel, and of course, guys, the same Pioneer sideline.